Welcome, you curious minds, to another journey to the heart of understanding here on the Deep Dive. We take the sources you share, and well, together we unearth the gems of knowledge within.
That's right. It's about moving beyond just the surface level and really grasping the core principles, the insights that can reshape how we see things.
And today we're embarking on a particularly fascinating exploration, Session 77 of the Law of One. Our mission is to delve into each question and answer with meticulous detail, seeking a really profound and positive understanding.
Mhm.
For those of you who've been following along, you know the richness of this material. For those just joining us, well, prepare for a truly deep dive into the nature of reality as it's presented in these sessions.
We've received session 77, and it's a session brimming with both, let's say, practical considerations and these deep philosophical questions. It offers a remarkable opportunity to expand our comprehension.
And I'm thrilled to be unpacking it with our expert guide whose, well, calm wisdom helps us navigate even the most intricate concepts. Welcome.
Thank you. It's always a privilege to explore this material. The Law of One presents such a unique and um, interconnected view of existence, and we approach session 77 with deep respect and definitely a commitment to thoroughness.
Okay, let's get straight into it then. The session kicks off with a familiar check on the instrument's condition. Question 77.1 just asks about its state.
And Raz's response, it is as previously stated. It's brief, yeah, but it tells us the situation is consistent with what they already knew about the instrument's well-being. It's kind of a grounding point, isn't it?
Yeah, it reminds us of the ongoing context.
Exactly.
Question 77.2 then raises a concerning point, whether the instrument was under attack just before this session.
Rail's direct confirmation, this is correct, immediately brings these challenges to light, doesn't it? The challenges faced in just maintaining this connection
It really underscores the potential for, negative influences.
and the dedication involved in pursuing this exchange. What strikes me is the vulnerability that's just inherent in this type of contact.
Following that, question 77.3 asks if the group could do anything to shield the instrument from these attacks before the session starts.
And the answer is, this is correct and affirmative. It reveals the group's active efforts and their real concern for the instrument's protection.
So they're actively involved.
Clearly, not passive observers at all. They're seeking ways to support the process. It really speaks to their commitment and care, I think.
And this leads to a truly significant moment in question 77.4. What specific actions could they take for protection?
Ray's answer here is, well, it's quite profound and very direct. Your group could refrain from continuing this contact.
Wow.
Yeah. This isn't just a suggestion. It's a stark acknowledgement of the potential risk involved. It forces us, and you listening, to consider the gravity of the situation and maybe the sacrifices being made.
Which naturally prompts question 77.5. Is that the only thing they could do? Is that the only option?
Ray's clarification here is incredibly important. That is the only thing you could do which you are not already attempting with a whole heart.
Okay, so that says a lot.
It really does.
Yeah.
First, it validates the group's sincere efforts.
Yeah.
They are trying with everything they have, using other means.
Right.
They're giving their all. And second, it underscores the seriousness of Ra's previous suggestion. It's the only other thing they could do beyond what they were already doing so wholeheartedly.
Okay, now shifting focus a bit to the instrument's personal experience, question 77.6 asks about preparing for future hospital visits.
Right, and Ra's response is illuminating. They say, basically all was done well, with one single crucial exception.
Okay.
The instrument was encouraged to engage in a more determined contemplation of the self as the creator.
Determined contemplation, that sounds quite active.
It does. It implies an active, focused awareness of their own divine nature, not just, casual thought.
And what's the benefit of that, this determined contemplation, especially when facing physical stuff like pain?
Ra explains that by more deeply recognizing the self as creator, the instrument can strengthen its mind complex, especially when the body's perception of pain might weaken it. This proactive mental fortification helps prevent negative thought forms from even arising. What's fascinating here is that direct link Ra makes between our self-perception and our mental resilience when facing physical distress.
So it's about stopping negativity before it even starts, at the root.
Precisely. Ra emphasizes that eliminating these negative thought forms removes the openings, the sort of footholds, that negative elementals or other negative entities might exploit.
To make things worse.
Yeah, to worsen the instrument's mental state, potentially pulling them away from their usual positive disposition. It's a powerful insight into how our thoughts, our energy, and outside influences all interplay.
Question 77.7 follows logically from that. The instrument asks about improving their tuning when they're not communicating to help future contacts with Ra.
And Ra directly connects this to the previous answer, saying essentially, that which has been stated will suffice to point the way for the present query.
Ah, so it's the same principle.
Exactly. It reinforces that this determined contemplation of self as creator isn't just for managing pain, it's fundamental for overall energetic alignment and receptivity too. It's about cultivating a continuous state of connection, really.
Question 77.8 then turns to a specific physical experience the instrument had. Increased heart rate, stomach pain, and they ask about a possible Orion greeting.
Ra confirms the Orion group did energize the event, so they were aware, maybe influencing things on some level. However, and this is crucial, Ra identifies the immediate or proximal cause as ingesting certain foodstuffs in tablet form.
So a physical trigger.
Right. That distinction is important. It shows that while, yes, energetic influences might be present, there can also be very tangible physical triggers for the instrument's discomfort. It's not always one or the other.
Makes sense. Question 77.9 dives deeper into what these tablets actually were.
Yeah, and here, Ra acknowledges the law of confusion first, which often limits how directly they can intervene in free will choices, especially physical ones like taking supplements.
Right, they're careful about that.
Very. But they agree to provide the info. They identify pituitone as the cause of the increased heartbeat, and spleen tone as the source of the organic lower abdominal difficulty, clarifying it was actual difficulty, not just cramping. Then Rod offers a really profound observation about the instrument's delicate physical balance.
It sounds like Ra is suggesting a more holistic view is needed for this instrument's health.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Rod gently critiques a purely physical replenishment approach. They suggest that for this particular instrument, whose vitality, Ra says, for the past 25 years, has stemmed from this harmonious dedication of spirit, mind, and will to service, the root of well-being lies in that triadic alignment. Therefore, while mental and spiritual healing are beneficial, aligned with that core vitality, purely physical stuff, like these tablets, might actually be inappropriate or even disruptive for them.
That really underscores the interconnectedness, doesn't it, where true vitality comes from.
Exactly. It's not just a physical machine.
Question 77.9 then asks if there are any other beneficial techniques the group could use for the instrument.
Ra offers two suggestions, and they specifically say, without facetiousness, emphasizing their being sincere.
Okay, what are they?
First, the straightforward one. Eliminate further ingestion of this specific group of foodstuffs. Stop taking the tablets.
Makes sense.
Second is for each group member to become more aware of the will. Ra clarifies they can't really instruct on how to do that directly, but they highlight its vital significance for the evolutionary journey of the mind-body-spirit complex.
The will, so conscious intention, directed energy, that sort of thing.
Precisely. It points to the power of that in our growth.
We then transition, quite significantly, into a broader philosophical area with question 77.1, moving from the instrument's well-being to the very foundation of creation. The logos is planned for experience, assuming the first distortion, free will, as the basis.
But Ra is unable to answer this directly initially. They point out a critical missing piece in the question. Do we speak of this particular logos?
Specificity matters.
Immensely. It highlights that you need to be specific when discussing the plans and intentions of different cosmic entities. Creation isn't monolithic, you know.
So, question 77.2 live provides that crucial clarification, asking specifically about this logos, our sun, and the experience planned within its planetary system.
Right. With that specificity, Ra affirms the query has substance. And then they introduce the tarot, interestingly, as a relatable framework of concept complexes to illustrate the philosophical plan.
The tarot, how does that fit in?
Ra uses its structure to explain a sequential unfolding. First, the foundation of mind, represented by concept complexes 1 through 7, then the foundation for the body, complexes 8 through 14, followed by the spiritual complex, 15 through 21.
Mind, body, spirit.
Exactly. Culminating in the final concept complex, the choice, number 22.
So it's like a deliberate architecture for how we experience things, a blueprint almost.
Precisely. Ra explains that upon this foundation of transformation within each complex mind, body, spirit, guided by free will, and the inherent root concepts within them, the logos provided third density with the fundamental structure for learning, integrating experience, and ultimately making the choice. It's a beautiful image of a carefully designed journey, really.
Question 77.13 is then the questioner trying to summarize this, right? Condensing it into 7 basic philosophical foundations for each aspect, mental, bodily, spiritual, that lead to third density polarization.
Yeah, and Ra gives a partial affirmation, says the content is basically correct, but corrects the understanding of where these concept complexes reside.
Oh, where do they reside then?
Ra says they aren't just producing polarization, they're located within the very roots of the mind complex. That's where their guiding influence and essential themes, their leitmotifs, originate.
Okay, so deeper than just a consequence.
All right, Ra further clarifies each foundation is itself a complex of concepts. And there are intricate relationships both between mind, body, and spirit at the same octave level, like complex 1, complex 8, and complex 15.
Mm-hmm.
And also within each octave, like the relationships between 1, 2, 3, etc. And crucially, the logo's free will allows for unique facets, unique expressions, and interconnections for each individual mind-body-spirit complex.
So infinite variety within the structure.
Exactly. While the choice itself, complex 22, remains relatively fixed and singular in its function.
Question 77.14 shows the questioner still wrestling with this, specifically with time, and whether the logos knew about this polarization choice beforehand, and if this whole choice thing at the end of third density is actually a plan for post-third density experience.
Ra clarifies that no, these philosophical foundations, this whole architecture, are specifically for the third density experience. Above third density, the underlying structure of the logos is recognized more directly, without the veils, without the sense of separation that's so integral to making that free will choice within third density.
Okay, so the veils are key to the third density plan.
Yes. It's like Ra says, understanding the blueprints of a building after you've already navigated its many rooms, maybe in the dark.
Gotcha. Question 77.15 then asks directly about the intensity of polarization. Was the choice planned specifically to create an intense post-third density experience?
Ra offers a really nuanced correction here. They explain the intensity of fourth density is more like the refining of a rough-hewn sculpture. It's an inward journey toward fuller expression.
Okay, a refining process.
Whereas the intensity third density, Ra says, is unique. It's like the forging of the statue in fire. It's a transformative, often challenging process that creates a specific kind of intensity you don't find in the higher densities.
That really reframes the challenges of third density, doesn't it? It gives them a distinct purpose.
Absolutely. It suggests they serve a crucial foundational purpose.
Question 77.16 then digs into the core of it. Why? Why is the choice so vital? Why does the logos emphasize it so much? And what is its precise function in the evolution planned by the logos?
Ray's answer is direct and absolutely fundamental. The polarization or choosing of each mind-body-spirit is necessary for harvestability from third density. The higher densities do their work due to the polarity gained in this choice.
So it's essential for moving on.
Indispensable. It underscores the role of free will and the choices we make here in third density for our spiritual progression, and even our ability to contribute to the work of higher densities later on. Our choice matters, fundamentally.
Question 77.17 explores a fascinating hypothetical. What if all the sub-logoi, all the souls, let's say, initially chose the same polarity, like everyone chose positive from the get-go?
Rhea explains that the specific nature of the logos involved is critical here. Yeah. They mentioned there are logoi that opted for activation through true color bodies without the precursor of free will.
Really? What happens then?
In those cases, the lack of initial awareness of polarity of choice leads to exceptionally long cycles in third and fourth densities. But then upon eventually recognizing the creator, there's a rapid progression towards eighth density.
So slow start, fast finish.
Kind of. It's as if the initial lack of contrast delays progress, but doesn't prevent it ultimately. Ra uses this really insightful analogy of a primitive tribe with strict rules and taboos, but no actual concept of right or wrong. A monochrome culture, they call it.
Interesting.
In contrast, for logoi with free will, like ours, Ra presents Lucifer, or the Lightbringer concept, as instrumental, because the introduction of the knowledge of good and evil, while it caused a departure from, say, Edenic contentment,
right, the fall narrative,
it provided the necessary impetus, the drive for movement, for learning, for spiritual work. Ra also note that logo without initial free will are perceived by those with it as offering perhaps a less diverse and rich quality experience back to the creator.
So variety comes from the choice.
It seems so. And interestingly, Ra mentions these logoi might choose to embrace the characteristic of free will later on in timeless states.
Wow. Okay, question 77.1i circles back to the first distortion, free will itself. Was the choice by a logos to evolve without free will? Was that choice itself an act of free will?
Raz's simple affirmation, this is correct, just highlights the ultimate paradox, doesn't it? The fundamental nature of free will, even in choosing a path that, on the surface, seems to lack it.
Mind-bending. Okay, question 77.15 then asks, if a logos chooses a non-free will evolution for its creation, does it still set up both service to self and service to others paths for the souls within it, or just one?
Raz's answer here is definitive. Those early logo that chose foundations lacking free will, they always founded logo purely of the service to others path, no exceptions.
Always service to others. Why?
Ra implies the whole experience and the consequences of what they call the saga of polarity, this whole drama of choice and its effects, was entirely unforeseen, unimagined, until it actually unfolded through logo that did choose free will.
So the concept of choosing service to self just hadn't emerged yet in those contexts.
That seems to be the implication. Question 77.20 basically rephrases this understanding for confirmation, suggesting that originally, Logoi didn't choose free will simply because they hadn't conceived of it, whereas later Logo experienced polarity as a kind of natural growth or extension from that first distortion of free will.
And Ra confirms that.
With a concise yes.
Right. Question 77.21 brings the focus back home to our system. Did this particular logos, our sun logos, plan for polarity? Was it aware of it before setting up its plan for us?
Ra confirms. This is quite correct. Our logos knew about polarity beforehand.
Okay, so then question 77.22 posits that, if that's the case, our logos would have had the advantage strategically of selecting the form of acceleration for spiritual evolution by deliberately planning these major archetypical philosophical foundations as a function of third density polarity, using polarity to speed things up, basically.
And Ra's affirmation is emphatic. This is exquisitely correct.
Exquisitely correct. I like that. It really highlights the deliberate, sophisticated design underlying our whole experience here.
It does indeed.
Question 77.23 marks a pivotal point. The questioner expresses the importance of thoroughly understanding these 21 philosophical foundations Ra mentioned earlier.
Based on the Terra structure.
Right, and expresses a desire to carefully go through each one, starting with the Mind series, if Ra is agreeable.
And Ra expresses agreement, but with two important conditions, or requests. First, the student, the questioner, must attempt to state their grasp of each archetype first for Ra to comment on. Ra says they cannot teach learn in quite the same way humans learn teach.
So the questioner has to do the initial work.
Yes. And second, they must constantly remember that each individual mind-body-spirit complex will and must perceive each archetype in its own unique way. Precision, identical understanding, is not the goal.
Ah, okay. So it's more about the quality of the general concept complex perception.
Exactly. It honors individual perspective within the universal structure.
Question 77.24 tries to clarify some general concepts before they dive into those 21 foundations. Specifically, the difference between logoi using full free will to allow polarization versus those that don't. And also how densities themselves are provided for and set up by the logos, if Rhett can answer that.
Ra states this will be the last full query of this particular working, this session, because of the ongoing effects of that psychic attack on the instrument we discussed earlier.
Right. They need to manage the instrument's energy.
Precisely. Regarding the densities, Ra offers an analogy. Just as second density, like animals, progresses to third density, like humans, perhaps more rapidly due to what Ra calls unusual opportunities for investment, not necessarily because second density itself is more efficient.
Okay, investment opportunities.
So too do higher densities invest in the lower ones. Fourth density invests in third, fifth invests in fourth, and so on. And beyond fifth density, progression gains momentum based on applied wisdom. The logos in these instances provides these crucial investment opportunities. Ra then asks if there are any brief concluding queries.
Okay, so it's like higher consciousness providing catalyst or structure for the lower.
That seems to be the gist, yes.
Finally, question 77.25 addresses the immediate situation again. Can anything be done after the contact to ease the instrument's discomfort from the psychic attack, or maybe improve comfort or the contact in the present situation?
Ra suggests using initiated healing abilities, likely referring to the group's own energetic healing skills. They also encourage the entity, the instrument, to remain motionless after the session.
Remain still.
Yes, though Ra notes this might require careful discussion as it might not be readily appreciated by the instrument. They also mention a minor detail about the censer, the incense burner, being slightly off, but state it has no deeper meaning. And importantly, Ra reassures the group about their conscientious efforts, their diligence in maintaining alignment for the instrument's physical comfort.
What an incredibly rich session. Just wow. Session 77 gives us such profound insights, doesn't it? Everything from the very practical challenges of this kind of contact,
Right, the attacks, the physical issues.
all the way to the grand philosophical design of our reality, the pivotal role of free will, the unique intensity of this third density experience we're all in.
What resonates deeply with me is that intricate connection between the instrument's well-being, the physical, the energetic, and these profound cosmic principles being discussed. It really underscores the delicate balance required for this exchange.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the sheer scope and the intentionality behind the law of one teachings, the emphasis has places on the individual and unique perception of archetypes, is also such a powerful reminder of the subjective nature of our experience, even within a universal framework.
Absolutely. We've seen the tangible impact of physical choices, like those tablets. We've seen the far-reaching implications of free will across different logoi, different levels of creation, and the essential function of polarity in our journey of consciousness. It truly invites you, the listener, to contemplate the significance of each and every choice you make within this intense, transformative forge of third density.
Indeed. And that distinction Rod draws, between the intensity of third density
Hmm.
as a forging in fire versus the refining of a sculpture in fourth density, that offers such a valuable perspective on the unique purpose of our current challenges, doesn't it?
It really does.
It suggests the very polarities we navigate, they aren't just obstacles, they're essential components of our eventual growth and, as Rod puts it, harvestability.
This session provides so much food for thought, particularly regarding that interconnectedness, physical, mental, spiritual, and healing, and just in our broader evolutionary journey. And the upcoming exploration of those 21 philosophical foundations, which Ra agrees to, that promises to be another fascinating deep dive.
It certainly does. Section 77 really lays a crucial foundation for understanding those archetypes later on.
Right.
It illuminates the logo's deliberate planning and the fundamental role of polarity within that design.
Hmm.
It reveals the inherent beauty and, yeah, the complexity of the experience we are all within and the profound power of choice that is ours.
This has been an extraordinarily insightful session to explore together. Thank you for lending your expertise to this deep dive. And to you, the listener, we really encourage you to revisit these concepts, to maybe sit with them, contemplate their relevance to your own understanding, your own journey.
Remember, the quest for understanding, it's a continuous unfolding, isn't it? There are always deeper layers to explore and new connections to make.
Okay, let's just touch on a few key takeaways before we wrap up. The session highlighted, well, the constant care needed for this contact, the profound impact of our mental and spiritual states on our physical well-being, and that grand intentional design behind third density, all centered around free will and polarization. It really underscores that every aspect of our experience, from the mundane to the philosophical, it's all interconnected, it's all meaningful.
Staff. May your journey be filled with increasing light and understanding.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until our next exploration, may your path be filled with love and light. I'm you, and you are me.